Welcome back, everyone. So this week on the deep dive, we're looking at something pretty significant actually. It feels like more than just another week of changes. It's like a profound invitation, really, to get serious about self-awareness and action. The vibe is playing it safe isn't just boring. It feels like it could be borderline self-sabotage right now. There's just no room for passive participation. It's time to get involved in your own story. For this deep dive, our main source is astrology. July 2025 Breakthroughs and Accountability from Tarot by High C. We're zeroing in on the week of July 7th through the 13th, 2025. So our goal today, to pull out the absolute key insights from these big astrological shifts. We want to help you see how these powerful energies might actually show up in your life. Think breakthroughs, yes, but also maybe some reality checks and definitely a call for accountability.
Exactly. And it's quite a lineup this week. There are three major events we really need to unpack. First, you've got Uranus, the planet of shakeups and innovation. It moves into Gemini, the sign of communication. That's huge. Then there's a full moon in Capricorn. That's always about illumination. But in Capricorn, it's focused on ambition, structure, responsibility. And to top it off, Saturn, the cosmic teacher, you could say, turns retrograde. That signals a time for review. Put them all together, and the theme is powerful: personal and collective transformation. And the Course actually calls these perilous times, which adds a layer of intensity.
Perilous times. Okay, definitely sounds like we need to unpack this. So
Yeah,
let's start at the beginning. Monday, July 7th. Uranus moves into Gemini. This isn't short-term, right? It's an 8-year cycle.
that's right, 8 years. So the major foundational shift. Uranus is all about breakthroughs, rebellion, the unexpected. And Gemini, intellect, communication, information, adaptability. So what happens when they meet? The source calls it a mental revolution. It's like curiosity meets disruption in real time. It's set to really redefine how we think, how we talk, how we connect, and definitely how we adapt.
Okay, mental revolution. And what about the immediate effects? Like this week, what might people notice?
Well, expect the unexpected, basically. Sudden news, maybe surprising revelations popping up. Could be tech glitches acting up more than usual, or just those bizarre social media moments. Conversations might feel, well, the source says erratic and electrifying.
Erratic and electrifying. Sounds like it could lead to misunderstandings.
Oh, definitely. Misunderstandings are possible, for sure. But on the flip side, it also opens the door for, like, sudden flashes of insight. Really creative, out-of-the-box solutions could emerge, too.
Right. Is there any historical context for this? When was the last time Uranus was in Gemini?
Good question. It was 1941 to 1949. Think about that era. Radical changes in global communication radio becoming huge. Early television. Major social shifts because of the war and its aftermath. Lots of technological leaps forward.
Wow. Okay. So applying that forward, the next 7, 8 years could be another period like that. Rapid progress, new ideas.
That's exactly what the source suggests. It talks about humanity being poised for another exciting period of rapid progress, intellectual awakening, revolutionary ideas, and it mentions new insights and inventions that will completely alter how we live our daily lives. Think acceleration, intellectual freedom, innovation, maybe even what the source calls collective ascension.
Collective ascension, how does that tie in?
It seems linked to being open, responsive, mindful. It's about how we use our minds, exchange information, travel, communicate, even how we define consciousness itself. Big stuff.
Definitely big stuff. But with all that speed and change, there must be challenges, right? It sounds potentially chaotic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a definite risk of things feeling unstable. Higher risk of accidents, maybe impulsive decisions because everything feels sped up. People might feel more nervous, energy, restlessness, anxiety. It's really key, the source stresses, to stay grounded and conscious.
Mm,
Because too much stimulation, too much erratic energy can easily spill over into conflict or miscommunication. Grounding is vital.
okay.
And just looking ahead slightly, Uranus and Gemini will make some important connections to other slow-moving planets, like a supportive angle, a sextile, to Neptune in 2025-26, think of potential for collective spiritual insights, and a trine, another helpful aspect, to Pluto from 2025 to 28, suggesting deep structural transformation. And it meets up with Sedna, too. These just add weight to the idea that this isn't superficial change, it's deep.
Okay, so the big takeaway for listeners dealing with this Uranus energy starting now, it sounds like adaptability is key, like really key.
Exactly. Adaptability, flexibility, the source is clear. Clinging to outdated beliefs or resisting change will increase turbulence. You've got to be willing to learn and adjust.
Okay, so Uranus is shaking up our thinking, our communication. How do we stay grounded? You mentioned the full moon in Capricorn comes next on Thursday.
Yes, Thursday brings the full moon in Capricorn. And it acts as a kind of counterpoint, almost. If Uranus is electric and airy, Capricorn is earthy, grounded, serious. The source calls it a reality check.
A reality check. Okay, so what does that mean practically?
Well, it's an opportunity, a chance to see something tangible come from your efforts, maybe realize a long-term goal. You might actually see the rewards of our efforts, as the source puts it. It's an invitation to own your successes, even if the future feels uncertain. And it's about expressing your feelings, your emotional truths, but in a mature, grounded way. Capricorn brings that discipline.
Interesting. So grounding, but also results and responsibility. What are the core themes here?
Responsibility is huge. Maturity, accountability. The source talks about a collapsing of old timelines under serious emotional weight. It sounds intense, like a real test of resilience, of integrity. It's pushing us to take full responsibility for the path of our soul.
The path of our soul. That sounds like stepping up.
It does. Embodying a higher level of leadership, maybe not in a traditional sense, but through tangible service, discipline, really aligning with your deeper purpose.
But reality checks can also be tough, right? What's the challenging side of this full moon?
Yeah, they absolutely can. This full moon can put a spotlight on where maybe our goals aren't actually aligned with our soul.
Sure.
Maybe they're built on guilt or fear or some old definition of success that feels more like a burden than a joy. Punishment versus purpose, as the source phrases it.
Oof, that hits home.
And collectively, potential for powerful revelations around government, leadership, established systems, health, things that Capricorn rules. This could even stir up social unrest, the source warns, as truths emerge about power, inequality, maybe hidden agendas.
Wow. Okay, so personal goals under review, collective structures potentially shaken. And you mentioned Mars is involved too. There's a trine.
Yes, the full moon forms a harmonious trine aspect with Mars, the planet of action.
So how does that influence things? Does it help or hinder?
It mostly helps, but with intensity. It provides energy and drive. The source says it intensifies karmic storylines and focuses us on unresolved past patterns. Basically, gives you the clarity and the stamina to take clear, disciplined action. There's pressure, but it's pressure to stop repeating old cycles. Act with intention. Act from your soul.
Okay, so it's fuel for making real changes, not just talking about them.
Precisely. It creates this window of opportunity for evolutionary growth. But, and it's a big but, you have to be willing to let go of old structures, old ways of behaving, old beliefs that just don't fit anymore. You have to be ready to take a stand for our most cherished beliefs. It asks for courage.
Courage and accountability. That seems to be the theme weaving through. Which brings us to the end of the week, Sunday, July 13th. Saturn turns retrograde. If the full moon is a check-in, what's Saturn retrograde about?
Saturn retrograde is like a deeper, longer review period. It lasts about 5 months until November 27th. The source describes it as a period of seriousness and a more realistic or practical view of reality. The focus turns inward. Think, personal accountability, patience, impulse control, maturity, getting the timing right. It's like a cosmic checkpoint.
Cosmic checkpoint. I like that.
Yeah, it prompts us to pause, really assess where we are, and realign with our deeper commitments, our soul commitments.
So what kind of things might come up for review during these 5 months?
Well, any impatience or impulsiveness from the past might surface. Actions taken without solid preparation, those could hit snags. It serves as a reminder, sometimes a hard one, that lasting growth needs discipline, steady pacing, method, integrity.
Right. It's not just about doing things, but doing them well and for the right reasons.
Exactly. It has to be aligned with your soul purpose, your integrity.
And what are the specific challenges associated with Saturn going retrograde?
You might really feel the weight of past impulses, as the source says. Plans that weren't built on solid ground might start to show cracks. There could be a sense of karmic debts coming due, especially around impulsive actions or things driven by ego rather than purpose. It forces an examination of personal responsibility, ethical behavior. It really makes you ask, where are we mistaking action for progress? Just being busy isn't the same as moving forward meaningfully.
That's a powerful question. The source had a quote about that, didn't it?
Yes, very stark. Courage without consistency is just chaos with a mask on.
Wow. Okay. So if people experience delays or feel like things are slowing down with their goals during this time?
It's likely not a denial, but a redirection. The source suggests seeing it as a sign of unfinished business to attend to. Things you need to sort out or strengthen now to ensure success later. It's about building that solid foundation Saturn demands.
So it's constructive, even if it feels frustrating. How do we navigate it best?
Use practicality and discernment. that impulsive energy we might feel. It can be channeled into structured plans, into purposeful action, but it requires that Saturnian discipline. The key is balance. Don't let realism slide into pessimism, and don't use practicality as an excuse to shut down your emotions. Integrate the head and the heart.
Okay, so weaving this all together, Uranus in Gemini pushing mental boundaries, the Capricorn full moon demanding tangible results and accountability, and Saturn retrograde asking for a deep review of our structures and commitments. It's a lot.
It is. It's a potent
It
mix.
really sounds like a week and maybe a longer period that demands we show up, actively participate, be flexible, stay connected to what truly matters to us, our core values.
Absolutely. And remember that context the source provided.
Yeah.
We live in perilous times when our world is in many ways being shaken. In times like these, it says, it remains essential that we attempt to more fully understand where it is that we draw our own personal line.
Our personal line,
Yeah.
based on our principles.
Exactly. In accord with our most sincere principles and values, knowing that line allows you to firmly decide where you stand. Regardless of, all the external pressures, the consensus thinking, the political noise, it's about how you can remain free despite everything.
Remain free despite everything. That's a powerful anchor. So, to leave our listeners with something to think about, considering all this potent energy this week, the breakthroughs, the accountability, the review, what's maybe one outdated belief or an old pattern that you are ready to courageously let go of starting this week to really embrace genuine progress and align with those sincere principles we just talked about?